Hey, Christian here with Resi, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a brief overview into Resi Studio, which is your interface that allows you to control how and where your content gets distributed. So once you log into Studio, you're greeted with the dashboard, which has all of the live events going right now, your upcoming events, your encoders that are online or offline, your venues and decoders, which we'll talk about later, some updates from Resi, and your monthly bandwidth. If you have any content that's being live streamed, it will show up in the live events section. Of course, the upcoming events is content yet to be streamed. And then your encoder tab here, any Resi encoders that you own will populate in the encoder section, and that will happen through a Resi team member. You don't have to do that yourself. So right here, we have a lot of different encoders on this demo account here, but this one is the only one that's online. And we'll turn it on in a little bit and show you what content is going through this encoder. But the big question is, how do you start streaming? And when I say streaming, there's a few different ways to look at it. So all of the content that you stream goes to the Resi cloud. And that Resi cloud acts as a cloud backup recording. It acts as the hub to which the content gets streamed out to other destinations like Facebook, YouTube, your website, other venues. So the stream is getting your content to the Resi cloud. Where it goes from that is up to you, and I'll show you how to do that. So while you could just click the go live button to go live, this does work in a pinch, but there's a much more refined way to control how your content gets seen, and that is through the schedule tab. So in the schedule tab, let's just do a test event for tomorrow, and we're going to call this keynote speaker. And in the event description, I just like to do an auto date, which is very handy and quick to use. Add a quick thumbnail. And now this is where the control really comes in. So I have one encoder online. As you can see, all these say offline, but I have one that is not offline. Now you have to make sure that content is physically going into the encoder. So in my case, the Red Mini HDMI, there's content being plugged into that HDMI input of the encoder. By default, the encoder is set to turn on 30 minutes before the event. You can change this however you please, but 30 minutes is really the sweet spot. Here's what's cool about this. It allows you to double check what content is going into the encoder before anyone else can see it. So yes, you know what the program feed looks like before the encoder, but this allows you to see what the encoder is actually ingesting 30 minutes before, an hour before, whatever you'd like to set it to. This is a really neat hack to just sanity check to make sure your content is truly good to go before you go live. And then you set your schedule here. Let's set it for 1 p.m. and duration is set for an hour. I actually want to change that to an hour 30 because I know the keynote is going to go on a little longer than anticipated. And I always add a little buffer. If it's an hour, just do an hour 30. You know. And you can actually repeat this schedule however you want, depending on how frequent your productions are. And if for some reason 1 week, say you don't have a production, you can just hit pause for that 1 week and then make sure to check unpause. I'm not going to repeat this, but I am going to add a content destination. Actually, I'm going to add multiple content destinations because with Resi, because you're sending that content to the Resi cloud once, from the Resi cloud, you can distribute to as many different destinations as you need. So we click on add destination, and you can actually send your stream directly to Facebook or YouTube. And you just have to set up your Facebook account and YouTube account, and you choose which page or timeline or group that you want to live stream to. And it actually populates the title and description and thumbnail that we already put into the schedule, which is nice. So we'll add that. Let's also send it to YouTube. Same deal. Same information. And then for any platform that we don't natively integrate with, we do offer RTMP stream keys. Now, if you're somewhat familiar with Resi, you know that we stream over RSP, Resilient Streaming Protocol. So we convert our RSP into RTMP to allow you the flexibility to send to any destination you need to, and you set it up using a custom RTMP. So for example, we're going to send this to Twitch. And again, broadcast time, that all is pre-populated. Now that's all social media destinations, but what about your website? Well, this is where the Resi web embed comes into play. And this is where you get a lot of control. So we're just going to click our web channel and we have our thumbnail. And then I have this little option that says save to library, autosave to library, even to a specific playlist, which I'll go over in a little bit. So we're just going to add this, click save. And now our event is scheduled to run and be distributed to 4 different destinations. So for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, these are just going to populate automatically on your pages. But for the Resi web embed, you actually take the iframe, copy that code, and paste it into your website or any other platform that you want the Resi web player to be embedded onto. And that gives you even more control and flexibility, which we'll go over next. Now, what if you don't want that content to be publicly streamed out, but you still want the automatic cloud recording for your backups and redundancy? Well, you just do the same thing, except you don't schedule those destinations. You schedule the stream, you schedule the encoder to automatically encode that content to the Resi cloud, but then it doesn't go anywhere after that. You're in control of whether or not that content is stored to your Resi cloud or if it gets stored as well as streamed out. So now this is an example of what that live content going into the encoder looks like. This is live, indicated by the live on the play bar. And again, here are all of your embed codes, stream URLs, everything you need to get your content public if you want, or it's just automatically recorded if not. So this content is now live out in the world, but where can you find it within Resi Studio after the fact? Go over to the Media tab, and this will have all of your videos that you save with Resi On Demand. So with Resi On Demand, all of your content is saved indefinitely, depending on the storage option you have. But the web videos that you just streamed are in the expiring media tab. And we're just going to click on this one. This is the content that was just streamed out. And from here, you can replay it if you want, restream it out. You could save it to your library with Resi On Demand. You could download it to your computer, or you could make social media clips from it all within Studio with Studio AI. Let me show you how to do that. So from your web video, you can click Enrich with AI, and that'll then prompt you to save to the library real quick, which we will do. We're going to trim the video here a little bit. And within the library, the content is now saving, and this is where it will live forever. And the content is saving to the library and enriching with Studio AI, which allows us to create social clips very easily. So here's the content, the keynote speaker. Now I did trim this video, so that's why it's a little short, but this is an hour-long keynote. So once this content is enriched with Studio AI, you get a full transcript that you can navigate through. You get a summary of the content, discussion questions if that's of interest to you, but most excitingly is the clips section, where you just create a clip, and it's a text-based editor where I just click, drag, and if I want this section, I can play it back. Yep, that one looks good. I can go on and make a clip. And you know what? We even make it a little easier for you, because if you don't want to go through and manually find clips that you want to use, we give you some auto suggestions, which are good starting points. And of course, we can edit these, make that a little longer. We have millisecond clip adjustments, which is very nice because that's always the worst when you are making a clip and there's just not enough headroom or a footer at the end where it just cuts off too early. You can really adjust that, which is super nice. Click next. You can set your framing because this is going to be a 9:16 video, and you can either do a static crop or use Resi speaker tracking, which will track the subject in frame. We're going to go with that option. You can add your captions, different styles here. But then if you're like me, you want to create a custom style. And I want a red active word. I want Resi Red to be specific. Yes, absolutely. And then we're just going to hit create. And within about 30 seconds or so, you have a ready to go clip like that. I'm going to mute the audio there, but the captions are spot on. The speaker tracking is keeping our speaker in frame. And then I can actually post this clip directly to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all within Resi Studio. And then you just schedule when you want to post. We're going to schedule these for tomorrow. And let's set it at 2 p.m., 2:57 p.m. to be exact. Hit schedule. And then they are scheduled, and we can actually confirm that here in the calendar view. We have 3 shorts, or 3 clips rather, scheduled to be posted at 2:57 p.m. Now, if you're thinking, well, that's great, but we're not really posting on social media. We really just want to have a library of content that people can come to and view. Well, we got you covered. So in the media tab, part of Resi On Demand, you can take all of these videos, which are either uploaded or live streamed and then saved to the Resi cloud. You can take these videos and put them in playlists. And those playlists can be populated onto a media site, which is a very Netflix-esque experience. So let me show you what a media site looks like here. We're just going to use this test one. And right here, we have all these individual playlists. This is a podcast series that we did. And then we have another playlist called Resi Products. Another one about automations, more stories from podcasts. And all of this is meant to be very bingeable, very organized. You control what content is in your viewers' feed. Now, what's also really cool is this media site is not just for existing content. You can actually feed a live feed of content into the media site so that you provide your viewers with a live experience. But then once that experience is done, they can go into your library and watch past content that you have. So this is an example of that right now. You even get a little countdown that says the content is about to start in my case, 45 seconds. And this is the live content that is feeding from your encoder into the web channel, which goes to your media site if you choose. So this is just a really engaging way to keep people in your ecosystem of content. Now, I also mentioned previously that with the Resi web player, there are some advantages to why you would use a Resi web player versus a Facebook or a YouTube. Well, with a Resi web player, you have access to Resi features, one particularly called QR Click. You can click on any QR code that pops up on screen, and then whatever that link is gets brought up in player, or it can be opened up on a separate window if you'd like, but it gets opened up in player so that you stay engaged with the live stream, but you can take action on whatever it is the QR click is linking to, which is really, really cool. And of course, what content platform is complete without analytics? In the Resi Analytics tab, you have your viewership analytics, number of views, unique views, concurrent viewers, total watch time, median watch time, etc., as well as where people are tuning in from, which is very handy to have. In the settings tab, this is where you control your fine-tuned details, connect your social media accounts, RTMP streaming if you need, API access. We have a couple APIs that allow you to trigger go live events from Bitfocus Companion and QSys. And then you can set up your venues and decoders, which is something I didn't really talk about in this video. We do have a multi-site platform, which allows a lot more control if you're streaming in 2 separate buildings and need to have a professionally controlled kind of DVR type interface on the receiving site. We provide a really robust solution for that. And this is where you set up your encoders and decoders to do that. That's going to be it for today. I hope this overview was helpful. And if you have any questions, please reach out to support@resi.io. And if you're not yet a Resi customer, but would be interested in becoming one, then you can go to resi.io, get a free demo for yourself to see if it's a good fit for you. And I'll see you in the next one.